Give it a few minutes. I'll probably start at like 4:10 or 4:15.
Cool. Yeah, I'm still pounding like crazy coffee right now. So it's
Long
been a
day
week,
today.
boys. It's been a week actually. I don't know, man. It's been crazy. But I mean MLS is here, bro. I got all this content to get out, other creators to do stuff with. So it's just like
Just running around everywhere.
nonstop, man. But yeah, bro, I love it, man. It's the best time of the year, man. Game tonight, bunch of games on Saturday. I'm in.
Who do you got? Who you got?
What in terms of
Today.
like
Today.
oh, today, bro? I actually think it's going to be a draw. I think MLS is going to find a way to make Messi win, but RSL's a good team, man. They're a good team. I wouldn't say they win in Miami, but like a 2-2 or something. Yeah,
You think there's
I
also
hope it's like a
so
2-2.
you think there's gonna be goals?
Yes,
I
I
was
think it's going
thinking.
to
I
be.
was just thinking more of like a 1-0 snooze. Miami.
I hope not, bro. It'd be
Yeah.
so stupid. That'd be
I
so
hope
fucking
it's not a snooze because at that point you might as well have just started Saturday and like forget about this. Oh, opener of the MLS, man. Like,
yeah.
that
They're trying
opener
to
is
do it
gonna
big
be
like
like
the
that.
NFL. They got to do it big. It's got to be. I don't know. They got to be goals. It's got to be goals.
Yeah, but Inter Miami and RSL, like, okay, Inter Miami, Messi, and fucking crew, but I also saw Lake of all the teams that could have possibly like been there. Like, you could have chosen a better team to actually start off the MLS. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
They're a,
just me.
they're a low key good team. They're a low key good team. I think so.
The thing is RSL started like the midpoint of the season, like during the summer was when they got hot, right when they got Arango back.
Yeah. True.
Once he came
Yeah.
through, like, their season changed. I think it was a little too late for
Like,
them
don't get
to
me
like.
wrong, they're a good team. It's just like, are they gonna attract people like how other teams would attract? Like, if you're gonna do this to attract people, you might as well go Inter Miami LFC. Even though I back to that, like disgusting to me, but it's gonna
Is it?
bring in more people.
Isn't LAFC? I mean, LAFC Seattle to open up the season is also a banger.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't mind. I don't mind it. And also, strong Barca vibes with that fucking RSL kit. So I'm locked in, bro. I mean, I'm locked
by
in
the
for that
way,
one,
I
bro.
watched the video last night, and you know what? That RSL kit, it just reminds me of fucking Circus.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. We're not doing this, bro. That kit is fire, man. Fire.
Oh
Only
I like
thing,
what they did
only
with the
thing has
mountains.
is
Don't get me
like,
wrong; it's just the color scheme. I don't know what it is. It just back to like a circus or something like.
it just reminds you of like the greatest club of all time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel you, bro. I feel
the
you.
greatest club of
No,
all time is a
no.
crazy statement, by the way.
Come on, boys. Come on. We didn't get the win today, but return leg,
uh,
return leg, return leg.
Did both games draw? By the way, that Arsenal game was a six. I fell
No,
asleep.
bro. It was. Arsenal played terribly. It was. I mean,
really?
Porto's also good, but they won it at the end. Porto won it at the end.
Really?
Uh, like a crazy 30-yard banger, bro. Like, just like, oh man, it was a dagger. But
Oh, Dragao Azul. Let's go. Hey, fucking Arsenal,
Galeno should have scored in the
Yeah,
first
that,
half,
that dude,
bro.
that first
So
half was terrible. I was watching that with my dad. He was like, how did he even like manage to miss that? He's like I get the first hit, like he didn't strike that correctly, but the second one you gotta hit it. Like
I
I
don't
don't
even
care
know
what.
how he got it. Like I don't even know how he got to it. It was so fast. I was like, bro, how I had to watch it in slow mo. I was like, how did he even get to that second ball? But
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. It was crazy.
crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy,
Arsenal
but
takes
winning at
7
Portugal
years,
is
man.
hard. Winning at Portugal is
I'm
hard.
pretty sure.
well, they had a. It was. I don't know. I still feel like Arsenal needed to do more. They didn't seem like they really
They
wanted
did.
it.
They
They
did.
they
Like
played
the corner
terrible.
kicks were all the same.
Yeah.
There was no shots on target. Every shot was off. It just, I mean, people are gonna say classic Arsenal in the Champions League, but I don't know. We'll see it in London. I think it's harder to win in Portugal. I'm not like terribly mad at 1-0.
Yeah, I just
The
felt
Barca
like
game was actually like weirder to me.
I just felt like, like they needed to have a little bit more, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
All right, boys, should we
second
kick it
second
off?
legs. Let's do it. I'm in.
All right,
All right, let's
so
go.
guys, welcome to the first episode of Kicking It MLS. This series, or more or less of a show, is going to be a live show coming every single Sunday after the MLS matchup week is wrapped up. We're going to be covering a lot of different matchups, a lot of different storylines, just everything entailing the MLS 2024 season. But I wanted to get it kicked off so you guys kind of know everyone that's taking a part in this show. I know you might know a few of us. Some of you guys might know us from our Wake Up MLS show. There's going to be a lot of crossover in between that, so we're going to have a lot of people coming in and coming out. It won't be the same cast every single week, but at least for the most part, it'll be the majority of us here covering live every single week. But I just want to start off with our first segment, which is who are you? You know, every single time that we get a new guest or someone new comes in, this is what we're going to be doing. So we're going to start off with this segment, and it's just going to be called Who Are You? So we get to know you a little bit better, and you guys get to know their backgrounds, who they support, kind of see how they are, you know, with what their takes are, you know. But we'll get it kicked off with Jose. Because I know some of you guys might not know him, but if you watch our Wake Up MLS show, you definitely know him as our resident FC Dallas fan. So, Jose, over to
Yeah,
you.
resident FC Dallas fan, ball knowledge extraordinaire. I mean, there's a lot of titles that didn't get thrown around, but yeah, bro, John, seriously, thank you for inviting me in, man. If I had to quickly summarize who I am, IFC Dallas fan. If you follow European soccer, I'm also massive on Barca and Arsenal. Neither one of those teams won in the Champions League today, so it is what it is. Outside of that, man, I'm just massively passionate about this league. 2024 cannot get here soon enough. FC Dallas has been waiting for a year like this. We'll talk about it all on the show. Just a few things you know about me, but outside of that, my baby, my passion, my everything is Goals TV. So I'll trust me, I'm not gonna overplug it on this show. I want this show to be about MLS. But Wake Up MLS, Yanks of the Round Table, other cool stuff that we're doing on Goals TV with some of the guys that you see on your screen, with others out there in the broader, soccer space in terms of content creators in general. I'm so excited to just collab, to work with as many of these guys as possible, which is why for me this show is a no-brainer. So I'm super excited to be here. And make no mistake, boys, I'm not pulling punches. I'm here to get in here, have some banter. Please keep receipts. I'm totally down with that. I think my hopefully my ball knowledge goes a long way. Knock on wood. But yeah, man, let's get the show started.
All right, Honda, over to you.
All right, my name is H1T, Honda First Times, whatever you like to call me, right? I have been a fan of this sport in general for a long, long time, ever since I was high, right? And the fact that I'm on the show, I'm grateful, I'm thankful to John because he always brings me into projects that he sees like, oh, I could do something with it as well too, right? To bring him along with some of my projects as well, but yeah, MLS since I was little, always been an LA Galaxy fan. I'm never gonna leave the club, even when it's on its very lows, like it is right now. I was there when they were at their highs, so hey, listen, for the turnaround, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Hey, bro, we got a lot in common. No cap. I'm like, it's like I feel like I heard like a Barca sentiment there. You know what I mean? You still reliving the glory days in present day. Yeah, bro. I mess with that. I mess
Hey, listen. Anything but Barcelona, all right? Real Madrid, Real Madrid, y nada más, all right?
Connor, over to you.
I don't know how I'm gonna top that, but I've loved soccer my whole life. My mom from Argentina raised me in sport at a young age. Lifelong Orlando City fan. USL to MLS, all the way up to now. Open Cup. Been watching European football since my childhood. Always loved Aguero, Messi, but ended up becoming a Dortmund fan. Worst mistake of my life.
been there,
Um,
been there, been there.
the pain never ends. Like that penalty a few days ago in the
Oh
Champions League.
Oh.
God.
Yeah, it was a crime, but yeah,
Yeah. Tillman got
slow
away with that one.
sport.
It's
Oh,
the
he did.
rules. The rules are weird at the end of the day. Like you don't know what's a foul or what's not a foul anymore. Like,
Man,
at the
there
end
was
of
a
the
lot
day.
of fouls
I don't
even
think it was a
today.
foul.
And
I
get
think it was a
ready.
foul personally.
Get ready. Scab refs start tonight in Major League Soccer, boys. It's gonna be a wild ride. I don't even know what to expect with these backup referee options. We'll see.
Yeah,
OC,
so
mine and your
so
teams are gonna suffer.
so yeah,
I mean, we
so
are
getting
gonna
into
suffer.
that, the off
No.
season this year has been crazy, right? We saw
Yeah.
a lot of new additions, a lot of, Barca 2.0 as we like to call it. Uh there's the Barca 2.0, Messi and friends, or however you want to label it, but we also had some other teams out here being surprisingly active in the transfer window. Teams like like the Chicago, typically we don't really do much. We actually did stuff this offseason. Colorado. They did a lot for a team that doesn't really spend much. So I kind of wanted to get you guys' takes on like just the overall landscape of this offseason because a lot happened. Like we had US Open Cup talks about MLS teams dropping out. So we also had, obviously these crazy transfers, but the pro refs not being or not wanting to sign and there being a bargaining deal going on. And now we're getting these replacement referees to start the season. So I just kind of wanted to get your takes on it. I'll start with Jose, just on the whole referee talk since you kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, man. I mean, outside of what's already been reported, I don't want to, come up here and kind of rehash all of that. I think it's interesting. I will say it's right now with everything else that's going on, man. It's just not a good look for MLS, and I think that it's okay for us as creators and fans to criticize the league without us wanting the league to absolutely fail. I think there's like it's crazy to see the sentiment on the timeline right now, right? It's like if you support Major League Soccer, it's like you're supporting the devil, right? Like it's just the worst thing imaginable. And I don't feel that way at all. I think, yeah, hopefully they're going to come to an agreement that allows these guys to get back to work. At the end of the day, this is their job, their livelihood, and it impacts the quality of the games we're about to see. I think tonight it's going to be crazy. My expectations are low, which hopefully works in my favor. Hopefully we get a good game and there aren't going to be these extremely controversial mistakes that just take over every headline afterward. I'm crossing my fingers for that, but outside of that, man, I think it's okay to be critical of the league and some of the decisions they've made up to this point, and still support the league at the same time. That's really what I wanted to come up here and say. Outside of that, though, make no mistake, man, all these mistakes that we've been seeing from officiating, not just in Major League Soccer last season, because I think last season was still pretty bad. 2023 was still pretty bad. There were more than a few questionable calls in big moments, big games. I'm thinking even playoffs.
Playoffs, especially.
Yeah, there was a lot, man. There was a lot, and so you got to think that it may somehow get a little bit worse with the quality of the officiating that we'll see now. It's starting tonight, but I'm trying to keep my expectations low, and I'm hopeful that we'll get proper officiating back in the rotation very very soon as week 2. That's kind of what I'm hoping for,
do
right?
do you do you guys feel like this will be like, in a way, let's say that for some reason these replacement referees outshine the referees that we've had in these last couple seasons? Do you think that impacts a little bit of the decision there and kind of just keeping them around, or do you think it'll just be one of those things where they'll work out a deal, they'll figure it out, kind of
No,
just go from there?
I think it has to. I think if officiating now with that said, that's a massive leap, right? Massive leap. I think if it happens, they have to, MLS will have more leverage.
Yeah,
They'll be able to say, look, for whatever reason, I don't even know how they measure that, right? Like I guess what defines from their perspective, maybe it's the reports that come in afterward on every referee and they take a look at that and compare it to last season. Um, Maybe that impacts it a little bit, right? But I think if we see a lot of backlash from the fans and a ton of talk around this on social media, it's going to be difficult for the league to have that kind of leverage. So again, from a fan's perspective, put all that bargaining agreement aside, I just want to see games not get compromised.
yeah.
That's it. I just want to see games be played out and not make it about the referee who's officiating.
Connor, I know you had a lot to say. I know personally we talked a lot about how those we have
Mhm.
we have these conversations about pro referees at least once a week, like with especially with your team. I know that you have some sort of not the nicest things to say about the refs, but I just kind of want to
Alan
get your take on
Chapman.
that.
Alan Chapman. That's all I have to say. Alan Chapman.
And it's tough because, like, as a fan, you don't want these results to affect the outcome of these games, but at the same time, like, it has been, and it's done it for not only my club. I feel like everyone's club has been affected here by referee decisions. I don't think anywhere outside the landscape of MLS you're gonna get it, but I feel like in MLS it happens a lot in comparison to what I've seen in other leagues. It's human error. It's human, like, you're gonna have it, but the difficulties of trying to transition from obviously replacement referees back to the pro refs, like, that's what I kind of want to, I'm hoping that it'll be better, with as time goes on and these refs like gain experience and all that. But at the same time, I don't know, man. These refs are a little tough. So
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not again. Everybody should go in not holding your breath. Just understand, have the right expectation. Right, gonna go in. Just imagine, just whatever your imagination takes you when it comes to backup referees. That's what we're dealing with so far until we get to the next step. So I'm just hoping that at the end of the day, it just we don't make it about them. That we actually still get to see some high quality soccer, and the refs don't get all the spotlight after this game.
So in
And
that,
maybe a controversy now and then, but other than that, like if it's consistently doing that in the MLS as well too, then they gotta look into that as well. Like
Yeah.
yeah. So with that also the big roster moves that we've seen, man. We had a lot of teams come in and not I would say the team that's made the biggest acquisitions apart from Inter has to be Colorado. Colorado went and they moved in. They moved in for Stefan. They got Georgi Mihailovic. So bringing in these past or these U.S. internationals, they're not past their prime. These are players that should be playing. A lot of them have been in the national team within the past couple of years. This is something to where we know that they're gonna be able to perform in this league. But for a team that doesn't really spend much, it is a surprise because you would expect teams like LAFC, LA Galaxy, these bigger teams that have not necessarily fallen by the wayside, but are genuinely falling down a little bit. They're going down a level. I think Galaxy's on a different they're on a different turn. Their last season wasn't that great with their fans calling for a lot of people's heads. But just in that, like, just what do you guys think will impact, or what team do you guys feel like made the best acquisition as of the transfer window so far? I'll leave that up for
Um,
anyone.
I think that the most influential, which hurts me to say, I think Atlanta made a lot of really good moves
They
because
did.
they addressed defense, which was their main problem last year. They had one of the worst defenses in the league in the regular season, which also hurt them in the playoffs against Columbus, conceding like 4 goals. I think it was in the first leg, or yeah, it was a lot of goals in those 2 games. But I think they really needed to address defense because going forward, if they want to make the playoffs again in a highly competitive Eastern Conference, they need to kind of stable out like Orlando and Cincinnati did last season.
And they did lose
And
Miles
I also
Robinson.
like,
That's not like a big, that's not someone that you just no one to lose. Like, I get it. He was hurt. He was coming back off
yeah,
an injury, and it's tough. But at the same time, before pre-injury, he was one of the best defenders in the league. To lose him just like that in a season, we'll see how much that affects him. I don't know, Jose. Do you think that that'll affect him a little bit, or how
I
do you see
kind
that?
of. I like he got semi exposed in that playoff game. I think against Columbus. Now, granted, it's the Crew, right?
Yeah.
Like when
yeah,
they got going in playoffs, they were almost impossible to stop. Atlanta was the one team that was able to take it to the Crew, right? That series went the full 3 games, and it was kind of wild just to see Atlanta, who I felt were actually levels behind the Crew, have that much offensive power and be able to keep up with them. But there were a couple very crucial mistakes that I saw from Miles Robinson that just showed me that maybe Atlanta was okay with giving him up, right? And not trying to get him to resign. Also, at the same time, maybe they didn't want to you know, force his hand when it because again, there was those opportunities for him to go to Europe as well, right? He ended up choosing to just stay in MLS. But I
Just
don't
crazy to
know if
me
they're gonna
still.
crazy, I know,
yeah.
especially for someone who has ambitions with the national team.
Yeah.
But with that said, since he got a good player, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna sit up here and kind of just dog on Miles Robinson, but I think Atlanta understood the risk of letting him go. And like Connor already said, man, they leveled up quite a bit. This is I would say a pretty just above average team, right? Top 5, top 6 team in the East. I think they're going to be okay. To me, the low key great signing from them was actually Dax McCarty. I like his experience. I like him plugging some of the defensive midfield holes they had. There were points during the season where you could chop up that team like Swiss cheese right through the middle. Um, you're not going to get that, I think, as much this coming season. Atlanta will be good, man. Atlanta will be good, 100%.
Orlando native,
Yeah,
Dax
that's
McCarty.
Orlando native. Orlando is actually looking, in my opinion, like in the East. I think they look very, very solid. I got them up there as contenders, man.
Well,
I think Orlando are going to be scary.
they picked up a couple good pieces too. I know they got was it Lodero from Seattle, and
Mhm.
I know he's an older player, but that doesn't take away from the experience that he's going to be able to bring to the side like Orlando.
Bro, that,
Um,
that is a win now piece. That
yeah,
is we are in the mode of winning now. You're bringing championship caliber player who's proven it with 2 MLS Cups to this team who's already proven they know how to go out and win a trophy. So, yeah, man, I like Orlando a lot. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him.
so who do you
Keep in
think
mind,
had a sleeper transfer window this year? Just get a quick one from you guys.
Hmm.
if I had to pick one, a sleeper transfer window,
Yeah.
honestly, bro, I'll shout out Chicago Fire. I think here's the interesting thing about the Fire, right? Is that like I kind of feel like at times my team, my club, Dallas, are in a similar position where we, I mean, we couldn't afford, not we couldn't afford, but going out against Shaqiri was crazy. And how much money you guys have spent on that, and then like you kind of had to pause big moves for quite some time, and now going out and getting Kuipers from Belgium at what is he, 26 years old?
Yeah, 26.
Going out and making some moves that I think Fire fans weren't ready for in the best way possible. I'm not saying it's going to revolutionize this team. I'm not saying Kellen Acosta is going to completely take this team over the top entirely, but I think you level up pretty decently in a very difficult Eastern Conference. And that's the thing. I think the Fire front office probably realizes how difficult this conference is going to become, not just with Miami having all the superstars they have, but with every other team trying to catch up, right? And close the gap on that star-studded Miami team.
And
Orlando too. I think Orlando's the best team in Florida. So like there's a lot to compete with in the East, and Chicago had a pretty good transfer window to keep up with them.
I'll say this about the Fire. I think a lot of us fans did not have any expectations going into this transfer window. Like I had talked about it on the show before, about how much money we've made over the past couple transfer windows just in moves, of players that we've shipped abroad, and obviously we have the money. Mansueto is not like he's one of the owners that isn't willing to spend the money because he did move the team back to downtown Chicago. Not only did he do that, but he got us new training facilities. So they built up a new training facility over there. So they're heading towards the right direction. I feel like sometimes the product on the pitch has been something that's been heavily criticized. Obviously, Heinz being appointed director again after 2 or 3 seasons where we didn't really do much. Very quiet other than that Shaqiri move. But they tried it with Shibuko. Like you can we can always say that these moves that we've done haven't worked out, but at least we've tried. The Shabilko move wasn't a move that we knew it was going to be permanent, but it was a trying to move away because we had lost Robert Barrich in that offseason, and we brought in Shabilko, and obviously we know that didn't really work out, but within trying these things and doing this sort of stuff now we have our youth movement, which I like to call it, because you can't have two back-to-back pretty decent goalkeepers in Gaga and Chris Brady, and then have someone like Brian Gutierrez coming through as well. Like there's also different players that have been in this side that realistically, I think the more we play them together, and due to injury and due to a lot of things, I think last season that Miami game showed the potential of what we could be, because even though Messi was out, that Miami team on paper, everyone would say it's a better team than ours, but we still went on and dunked on them with 4 goals. So it's not like it's impossible. I've seen this roster, when they're up for it, play up to a lot of good teams in this league. It's just a matter of, do we have the right guy at manager, which I feel like the boys kind of back him, which is one of the moves that we did. We also got rid of our we hired him permanently after having a great summer before break for Open Cup, but or not Open Cup, for Leagues Cup, but those moves that we've made, a lot of people don't really see it because it's like it's, I think the expectation around the league is it's Chicago, so they're it's same old Chicago, ain't really gonna change. Have missed the playoffs in what I think out of the last 12 seasons, I think we've only made it 3 times or something like that. So it's time to I feel like these are the steps in the right direction to get us back into the positions for playoffs. But a team that hadn't really done. They did a bit, but I feel like they could have done more. The Galaxy could have done way more to fix some of that roster. Chicharito obviously leaving, uh, LA and going back to Chivas, but even then, like I felt like they were gonna bring in like a splashy signing. They didn't really bring in any like splashy signings.
That's the thing with LA Galaxy. I'm kind of tired as a fan of these splashy signings that don't do anything. If, for example, Douglas Costa, and I mean, in a sense, Chicharito because he was injured, like he could have done potentially a lot more if he wasn't. But at the end of the day, right? And these splashy signings doesn't really mean much. And fact that I feel like the signings that we went to go get out, for example, Gabriel Peck, a Painstill that's coming in from the Belgian league, these big name signings, and I told you this, John, but they're more of like an FC Dallas signing. Like, okay, they're not going to be big, but they're going to actually do what they're supposed to do on the pitch, which is provide assists, provide goals, and actually put LA Galaxy into that next tier, right? So, and then we also got the right back situation as well too with Yamane. Okay, we're looking to fix these areas where it needs fixing, right? Okay, do we need center backs? Yes, because Jalen Neal, he's just recently injured, and then you got two old heads with Yoshida and Cáceres. Like they're gonna get run through game by game again and again. And I'm like, where are these other signings? Vinga, sorry, he's a garbage player, man. I'll be so real. There's a reason why Toronto FC got rid of him, man. Like to
Yeah.
make that many mistakes,
Yeah, but I still
like that's where the
I
key
think
comes.
I think Galaxy fans should be optimistic. At least in terms of where you've been recently, right? Like you said, smart signings, nothing splashy, nothing crazy. I think they're more focused on getting the right system in place to have these players shine. And like you said, you kind of compared to FC Dallas, man. Like people like to drag Dallas for that fact all the time that we're more in the mode of profitability than we are of like ambition, I guess is the argument. And what I would say is like, I mean, first things first, right? You got to make it to the postseason. You got to get there. If you don't
Exactly.
get there, you're never going to be relevant. So, I think there's a path to getting there that you could even kind of mold after what Dallas has done, right? We kind of always just do it with homegrown talent. I think if Galaxy were to go that way, be that kind of team in LA up against the star-studded LAFC team, and continue to win the matches, the derby matches, El Tráfico, right? I think you're in a good position, right? In 2024, my hopes aren't high for the Galaxy, but that doesn't mean that you're not on the start of this climb back up, right? I think that moving on for some of the old heads that you guys have, making some of the smarter, at least on the bottom line of the club and how they look at their finances, signings in this offseason, I think there's something to build on for sure. And you have some young talent there that you guys can definitely kind of hang your hat on. So I honestly would be realistic about the Galaxy, but not mad at how the offseason's gone. I think there are teams, bro. There 2 out of the 3 Texas teams did nothing, absolutely nothing in the offseason.
Hey
Like
yo.
you imagine being an Austin FC fan right now. Imagine being a Houston Dynamo fan right now, bro. You
Shout out
like
Hernan, man.
yeah, shout out. I mean,
You know, they got O'Brien, they got
bro,
Diego
stop,
Rubio,
stop,
but
stop, 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 stop. As someone who had to cheer on Obrion last year, listen, I know he's not a bad player at all, but he raises the floor of that team, not the ceiling, right? Like he's maybe double digit goal contributions, maybe 10, 11 tops in total.
They just don't
He's
have
a
enough.
Rigoni.
They just don't have enough. And that's
don't have
that's
enough.
that's the
They
problem that
just
I see
spent
with
too much
Austin.
money. They spent too much money on the wrong talent, and that's why they're in the hole that they're in. They can't go out and buy players because they're right now, bro. They're basically Barcelona of MLS. They can't go out and make these moves because they dropped the bag on Giassi Zardes, because they gave Will Bruin money, because they didn't even scout Rigoni. They just listened to Driussi and brought him over. Like there's there's all of these moves that were very very questionable that now are made up with the new technical director. And I mean they're stacking Gam right now like nobody's business. Maybe the summer window is going to be fire for them. I don't really know, but
Well, they
them
need
and like
depth. They need depth. That's what they need. They need
yeah,
depth. They
yeah,
have a floor to work with no depth. Like that's Austin's problem. And I think even Hernan even was realistic about it. Like
yeah.
he knows that there's not much to work with when in terms of where this roster has been constructed, what they needed to do this offseason, which I mean, they're one of the I don't know if they're contender for wooden spoon of the off season, but they're they're up there. And I think Honda kind of touched it too. You kind of said it as well. I think Dallas also did have a really good offseason. You know, you brought in a number 9, something that you kind of needed to have outside of just Jesus Ferreira to score your goals and provide most of your attack. Like, I know I hate on the guy. You know, it's my agenda, but at the end of the day, I think that you needed someone to fill in that role, because at the end of the day, when he's gone, when he's in, you know, there's a lot of summer tournaments going on. He might not be there, you know, for that stretch of games in the summer where you're gonna need a goal scorer, and it's perfect that you guys have one now. So, in terms of your off season, how do you feel like that went for you guys?
Bro, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I can't say that enough, bro. I'm so happy. I think Musa and for look, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that I was sitting here watching the Superliga Portugal every week, right? I wasn't doing that. I wasn't checking out Benfica week in and week out. But the minute that the rumor started, I went to go watch this man's comp. My YouTube algorithm is completely trashed now because of all the comps I've been watching. And like bro, he's very versatile. A striker we haven't had, and I can't even remember how long. Like, and what I mean by that is, bro, 6'3", can finish in multiple ways. Doesn't need the perfect service to get clinical goals down, right? And just and give us a level that we haven't had. We've been so reliant upon Jesus Ferreira for 2, 3, 4 years in a row now, right? So I think he's going to be the perfect player to allow Jesus to, I think, be a version of himself that he hasn't shown MLS fans yet,
And
Dallas fans yet.
I'm gonna be honest. I think Jesus is better as a provider rather than a goal scorer, because we all know, and Connor, we have this agenda against him. He's just a post merchant. He loves hitting that post, but again, this is not hateful. I just speak facts, so don't hate on
Hey,
me.
bro, listen. Hey, his goal contributions every season in a down season to have 18 goal contributions in a year, right, is massive. And there's so many teams who would kill to have their forwards produce at that level. So and it's not just a one-off, right? It's like a down season. Before that, he had 24 in 2022. So we think about like just
And
his impact on the field. It's massive,
and that's what I'm
massive.
getting at. Like, his ability now to provide more, having someone that he's actually going to be able to play up with, instead of being the only, you know, like the star man of the team. Like, you're gonna need a, now he's got some help. Now he's actually got something going on there. So I not that I feel like you guys have had terrible off seasons, but it's just kind of been more or less the same thing. You know, first round, get into playoffs, first round, see where you go. That's about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of where you've just been, but like not really going anything further than that. So I think in terms of you for your season, I feel like it's gonna go a lot better. But I also I'm interested to see where you guys kind of end up, because the West is really open.
It is.
We saw it last year. The amount of points that were needed in the West to get into the playoffs towards the end, a couple games in the last couple weeks, it wasn't really close. It was anyone's guess. You know, Austin was still in it at some point. I don't know how they were still in it. They needed a few results that didn't go their way, but they were still in it. So
They pulled the Chicago Fire. You know that they had to win the last couple games just to keep
nah.
it.
Listen,
Couldn't do it, bro. Couldn't
We
do it.
beat Miami, knocked them out of playoff contention last year.
And the season was over.
Couldn't win was that, and that was it. Like, we partied too early. Like, we partied way too early. But I also feel like
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thank you for beating up Miami.
He said thank you.
Thank you.
But I'm telling you,
Could
bro.
have done that with New York City as well too. Just the 2-1.
Yeah,
Bro,
but listen, it's
against
hard to
two
play in a
goals.
baseball stadium. Come on now.
Yeah, true.
You see, I understand that too.
But I will say, like I'm telling you, man, the West is completely open. If I had to give a hot take right now, where I think Dallas, for example, is going to finish, I think they're a top 3 team, man. I really do.
I would have said top 5, but I.
Oh no. You're judging that way too low. Look, the second best defense in the West lost no pieces, none, and leveled up the attack tremendously. Like, just think about that, bro. We didn't lose anybody, nobody worthy, and we added pieces in the midfield, added attackers up top, not just Musa. We added that Romanian wonder kid to Ines Sali, who's looked really good. We're running a new formation this year. I can't wait, bro.
All right, so another big.
I can name 3 teams. I can name 3 teams though. 3 teams: KC, LAFC, Seattle.
Casey has to go an opening part of the season without losing 10 games straight, and then I'll believe that. I
Listen,
think.
listen. But the ending of KC, the ending of the season that Casey had, and I get that we said this a lot, and I think Cheyenne was the one that kind of pointed it out, was their big party, and what messed them up was beating St. Louis in the first round. Like,
but then how can I take them seriously this season then?
But
If
that-
they're
Look at
they're
their
gonna bottle it
offseason.
when it's not their rivals, like how can I take that seriously?
but
Their
it's a
offseason as
rivalry
well,
game,
too,
and
what
I
did
had
they
said
do?
it. I had said it at the time too. I feel like KC does not get enough credit for what they did in the turnaround that they had, because you got to remember the position that they were in before Pulido came back. When Pulido came back in, he came back on a tear. He leveled up that team to where, I don't know how you guys have seen KC before. I just always thought of them as like they're a good team, you know, back and forth. They'll give people fight, but they're just at that. But I think with that KC team and what they did to St. Louis, in a St. Louis team that was their first year in MLS, an expansion side,
Destroyed them.
that
Destroyed them.
fantastic. They played fantastic for most of the season. To have then at that point come in and lose to a Kansas City team that barely snuck into playoffs. Like, it's, you know,
Here's the thing though. My only issue with is I always go to this in my head. What's most likely to happen? And it wasn't just Pulido, right?
Yeah.
They got there because of Gotti too.
Yeah.
And Gotti's gone. Okay. So Gotti's gone. Pulido was great. Now is he gonna do that again? I think form's always temporary, class is permanent. Pulido's a good player. Is he going to do that crazy run again? He might. I'm just not willing to bank on it. That's all that I'm saying, right? Is that outside of those two primary playmakers who forced Kansas City to have, I think it was like the most points secured per match out of any team in the MLS from May to the end of the season. That's fantastic. I love that for 2023. Awesome. Can I bank on that again? Can Kansas City fans bank on that again? I don't know, man. I think that was a crazy run of form they went into, and my mind always goes to what's most likely to happen. I'm not saying they're dog, right? I'm not saying they're bad, but they're like kind of where they finished a little bit, right? I think for me, they're like a 5th to 8th place team, kind of. You know, they're kind of like right about there. They're gonna give a lot of teams problems. They're definitely gonna beat some playoff contenders. Don't get me wrong. Even some MLS Cup contenders. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know if we can expect to see what we saw in 2023 again.
And you know what another team is that we haven't really talked about, but everyone talks. We talked about it at length with their manager, Dean Smith, and Charlotte FC. All right, I gave my point, and I kind of said it in the show.
The goat. Go ahead.
The goat.
Wow.
Wow. I touched. I want to touch on that point because we were talking about how an Aston Villa side played so well, yada yada yada. Realistically, they played better under Unai Emery, but that's another point. That's another topic point for another day. But will he have an impact on this side? Yes. Will he have the patience? And I think Cheyenne brought that up too. Will he have the patience to stick with an MLS team like Charlotte that has a lot to build up to? Now, I know that we got a lot of hate from a couple Charlotte fans and saying that we didn't know what we were talking about, but I'll stand with my point. I don't think that roster is constructed well enough for Dean Smith to come in and just see a complete overhaul of how that team's going to play. I think that them getting into playoffs last season was more of a lack. It was more due to other teams shitting the bed more so than them actually getting themselves in a position to deserve being in playoffs. So that's where I kind of see it at. But I want to get your guys' points on Charlotte before we move on to our next segment here quick.
Connor, it's on you,
Take
man.
a look at the offseason. Take
Yeah.
a look at the offseason of what they did. Like, who do they bring in realistically for the guys that they lost? Like, for example, Swiderski. They lost Swiderski. They lost their goal scorer. Right? Opeti is still there, but I don't think he was going to be doing as much as Swiderski did for them as well either.
Not by himself. Not by himself.
Not by himself. Then midfield. Okay, you brought in one guy from, I think, SM Cyan from the French league, but will that be enough? I don't think so. A bunch of old heads in the middle as well too, and it's
They
like,
still got Christian
I
Fuchs
don't-
still too at left back.
really. I thought he
think-
retired already.
Oh, he's still there.
I think Dean Smith's gonna look at it. Honestly, man, I saw him do an interview about this. I think maybe like 2 weeks ago. He was talking a lot about the academy or trying to rely more on youth talent. not just because of
The
the
lack of
roster
money.
construction so
Yeah,
far. I say lack of money, but in all honesty, his paycheck is
his
where all the
paycheck's gonna
money's
be
going.
big, but
Yeah,
still.
where all the money's going to Dean Smith, right?
Here's the
So
thing: I say that, and then they dogged us 3-1 at the freaking invitational, man. So
that's
like,
true.
who knows? Who knows? Like at the end of the
Honda's
day.
in shambles. I think I don't know, man. Like I don't think it's gonna be as bad. I think right where they finished last season is probably a realistic expectation. I don't think they're gonna drop too far. The East is still just it's still so damn competitive that I just don't have high expectations, but I don't think they're going to absolutely just get dunked on like Toronto was last season. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like
Toronto was in
I,
shambles. That's another conversation we gotta
exactly.
have soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That different conversation. But like I don't see that happening. Bro, Dean Smith knows how to get the best out of young talent. If that starts to work for them, I'm not saying watch out. I'm just saying like the next few seasons should be interesting. But listening, 2024, they're not doing nothing. There's nothing to worry about with Charlotte. I mean, I think if they have realistic expectations, they'll know that the goal is simply to maybe make it to a wild card. Try to do what you did last season with younger talent.
I don't think that they're actually going to be able to do much of anything actually. Like I think they're one of the teams that is actually going to drop out of the playoff race, but that's kind of where I see that at. I don't really see them going into anything, but I kind of wanted to move on to our next segment, which is our wooden spoons. And this segment
Mhm.
is a weekly segment that we're going to have where we deliver a wooden spoon to someone of the week. But since we haven't started week 1 yet, this is the wooden spoon of the off season. So I know we touched on Toronto, and they're a big contender for our wooden spoon. But I asked everyone to kind of give me a quick fire wooden spoon and just give me like 2 or 3 reasons as to why you think that they are the wooden spoon of this off season. So I'll start off with Honda.
All right, mine is probably gonna be a little bit of a surprise, but I think Sporting Kansas City. The why is
Ooh.
because okay, yeah, they
Interesting.
bring in
Wow.
Emo Rodriguez, right? However, his last two teams didn't really do much at Austin at LA Galaxy. They didn't really do much. Right, they bring in a left back who much was off for 4 months, and then to that he didn't really do much for his clubs over there in Romania. Right? So and then they got rid of old people, yes, okay, but they got rid of Kinda, one of their is like pretty much like midfielders assisting Uncle like Jose was saying again. So are they gonna do much? I don't know, but that's my wooden spoon.
All right, Connor, let me get your wooden spoon here.
Call me a hater. I'm gonna say Miami. I think they were just oh.
The Florida banter
Hold on.
starts already.
All right, let him cook. Let him land. Let him
Let him
land.
cook, let him cook.
land.
I think they didn't know what they were doing. They just were like, "Yo, Messi, we want to get you a team." And then it's like, "Okay, we're gonna get you under 20 Argentina player. We're gonna get you and you and you and you." And then somebody called on the phone and said, "Hey, do you realize you're way too under the salary cap or way too over the salary cap?" And they're just like, "What's that? We're Inter Miami. That's the matter." And then it's like, actually, yeah, it does. And we're like, okay, we'll fix it then. And then now they're selling Grigore and like sending people on loan to USL teams, and panicking because they're like, oh, our game is today. What are we gonna do?
Uloa to retire, but I
Hey,
mean Uloa was
hey,
average, so
hey, John, I'm gonna say this, bro. If this if Inter Miami dunk on Salt Lake tonight, that has to be the clip. I'm gonna say it right now. That has to be the clip. That's all I'm gonna say. That has to be the clip. But
No,
they
but here's
did
the
treat
thing
roster
as well.
spots like Oprah. I will say that, 100%.
Well, think about how
That's
many
the thing as
players
well
got
too,
injured
right?
in their off season. We did not lose like two big youth players that they were going to be big and impactful for this side. They lost them because they decided to go play a bunch of these, go on these tours, do all these little things, and now
And
you're left
lose.
with this roster.
And
Why?
lose.
That's not
Nicolas
why.
Freire from Pumas. That's all I'm saying.
Injuries
Nicolas
happen.
Freire. Oh my god.
Injuries
What a
happen.
signing.
I don't think it's the tour, man. I mean, I think if that was the case, like international teams, European teams would never come to the States, would never do the tours because it just doesn't make sense, right? Like, I don't believe it's that. I just think they got unlucky, but they have signed. Farias was the big blow to that team because that dude was getting European shouts already, man. I totally believe he was going to be a massive game changer for him. Him and Gressel. But now I guess we'll see tonight, right? How it's all going to go down. But man, I'm telling you, Miami, giving Miami the wooden spoon would be wild, wild.
All right, Jose, I'll
Just
turn it
putting
over
it
to
from
you.
Pumas. All I'm saying.
The only right answer to this is Minnesota United. It is the only right
Ooh.
answer, bro. The only right answer.
see
Think
it.
about it. They are literally walking
see
into a
it.
regular season without a head coach. How the hell is that even possible? I know
Didn't they just get the United
there's the rumors,
assistant?
yeah, the United that they're like locking it down. But bro, imagine you're going into a regular season game. You're a player, Minnesota United. You're up in the loons. You're going to training. You're doing everything, right? You're like, I wonder what our coach is gonna do. Oh wait, we don't have a coach. We don't have a coach, bro. Oh my god, we
Oh,
don't have a
Poopy and Inshallah. Pookie and
yeah,
Inshallah.
yeah.
Let's go.
And how is that going to change, right? Whenever the new coach comes in and it's assistant coach without first team managerial experience, going to come in, try to put his stamp on the team, who's been training without him, working without him, getting ready to go into a season. And then you still have some of those things, those pieces around, right? Like Pookie, Reynoso, and all that jazz that's going on. You got to find a way to like get the best out of these potential stars that could take your team over the line during the season when all these other managers and teams have been doing that the entire offseason. It's like, bro, again, I think it's just a massive L from Minnesota United standpoint. I don't know if it's going to really affect them. I guess we'll really see. But bro, locking down a manager this close to the regular season starting is a massive L.
I didn't even think of it like that, but now that you said it, yeah, for sure.
That's a good point.
That's a good point.
Huge shout.
But I'm gonna give mine to Toronto. Like Toronto had so much potential because of the offseason that they had last year. Bringing in Insigne, they had Bernadeschi, and then they just kind of let everything everything just fell apart. It's like when you pick up sand and it just kind of floats through. That's what they did.
Nah, man, it's a game about a ball, bro. He's about a ball.
But do you really think a player like that needed a season to adjust? Probably not. I say that, and we have Shaqiri, and he hasn't done shit for 2 years, so there's that. But
Bradley though, he's an egg. Like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Fair. And could you say that they're heading towards the right direction? Because the Canada coach is a very good coach. Former Canada coach, did really well with their national team. We see what their national team has become since he's left. So we've seen that impact of him leaving the national team. But is he going to be able to transform this roster into a winning roster? Now, I don't think that even if they have an off season during the summer and they bring in a couple players, I don't think that's going to be enough for them to do much of anything. I think that they needed to make moves in this transfer window and in the summer to not only position themselves when they got to the summer to be in a good spot to try to break into those playoff spots, which I don't feel like they really did. As a team, confusing from the outside. Maybe I don't have enough insight on their team, but yeah, just kind of interested to see where they kind of go. But I feel like they left their fans desiring a little bit more, which is why I gave them my wooden spoon of this off season.
I think if Kansas City can go winless for 10 weeks and still make playoffs, I think anything's possible. Like anything's possible. I don't think Insigne and Bernadeschi and the crew needed like a season to get acclimated. I think they just severely underestimated Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
Severely underestimated. They probably just thought they're going to come in, walk around for 90 minutes, get a goal, and call it a day. Now they know they have to try, right? They actually got to try.
Because they saw their homeboy Jomico do that. That's why.
I mean, to be fair, Jovico was, man, the guy was lightning in a bottle. But bro, I don't know. I'm not saying Toronto remontada, right? I'm saying like it's gonna
teams, but I don't want to cover every single team because we're gonna be here for ages. But I just kind of want to get like a quick 1-2 thing from everyone's team to our last segment, which is just our hot takes. But Honda, I'll start with you. What were you kind of expecting, or what do you want to see from your club?
What I kind of want to see from my club is to not just absolutely shit the bed. I mean, that's all I ask for them to do. Like, as long as they play a good game, even if they do lose to Inter Miami, which, I mean, I'm still hopeful that they get a 1-0 win out of nowhere. But it's going to be a very difficult game. But if they're on their A game 100%, I could see LA Galaxy winning again by the minimal.
All right, Connor, over to you.
It's Montreal, man. Like with all these off-season moves, I'm just worried about what's going to happen today in, I guess, Vancouver against Cavalry, because we got players flying all the way over there, and then they got to be all the way back here down here in Orlando by Saturday. So we signed Kaczewski from the draft to our first team. So I'm hoping he gets playing time in that game. I'm hoping we rest up some of our true starters for that game in Canada. When we come back to Orlando in the second leg, we can beat them big. And I want to have all of our or a few of our big starters here in Orlando. We play Montreal, so we can start off the season strong. Unlike last year, when we started off the season with a terrible home record, good away record, but we didn't. We were hanging around like mid-table at the beginning of the season, and I do not want to start off the season like that again. I'd rather be fighting for the supporter shield from week one.
Yeah, definitely.
So Jose,
Definitely.
over to you.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I think I'm optimistic as hell going into this season. I think even in week one, we got San Jose, which I think we drew. We played 3 times, I believe, in 2023. I think we drew all 3 times, which is kind of crazy when you really think about it, right? Like seventh place versus ninth place. It was really that close in the West last season. I feel like we just couldn't score. Like there was 2 of those games we didn't have Federa. We just could not put the ball in the back of the net. It was annoying. So I think things will be different this time. We're also running just a crazy system, a weird version of a 3-5-2, which we've never done. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. I do think Dallas. What we're going to see, not just in this game one, but I think in the rest of the season, we're going to see a team that concedes more than they did last season because of the formation we're running, but that also scores more goals. I think we're going to sacrifice goals against for goals for, and hopefully it just works well in our favor. So I'm expecting Dallas to come out of this with a nice little dub. Nice little 2-1, 3-1. I still think we concede because it's a back three that isn't very physical or big for that matter. They're just very athletic. They can recover quickly. So and pretty good in distribution and possession. So I think Coach Nico's gonna cook it up, man. And no more Cade Cowell too. Went to Mexico,
Yeah.
so no more Cade Cowell for San Jose. Not like he was the guy through and through, but he was a massive threat, and we don't have to worry about him for this week one opener. So I'm feeling very very optimistic.
So I'm gonna keep my nights as short. I am very optimistic for our opening game. I know we play Philly, which will be a tough matchup, but I think it provides us a little bit to kind of find out what we have. We've done pretty well in preseason. We beat a couple good teams. It's just about now us finding our form, and I feel like this game will let us know what we have. I think these next 2 games. So we play Philly and then we play Cincy, 2 very good teams in the East. If we can come out with the win and a draw from either of those 2 games, I think we're heading in the right direction. But I like our chances against Philly because, like I said, I feel like that noise over in Philly has become tone deaf. So yeah, so that's kind of where my take
Plus
on that is.
that wild own goal yesterday helps, bro.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It dramatically helps.
So
they would
our
full velocity with that one.
yeah, talk about that quick. How did that even happen? How does that even happen?
Banger. Absolute golazo.
Uh,
Not many strikers could do that in general. And
That's true. Plus, I think Andre Blake was on his phone texting or something, bro. I don't know what happened. Man just completely looked up and was like, "Oh shit, I gotta go sprint over there and try to stop it," and he misjudges it terribly.
gotta sub him out for the fantasy league. Right there and there, man.
All right, but getting into our last segment, our hot takes. So these hot takes will be given out every sporadically. It'll be sporadic, a hot take, because if we have a hot take every week, it'll be a little crazy if we do that. But I just wanted to, every single time that someone comes in here, anyone new, we're gonna get their hot take for the season. So as people start coming in, we're keeping receipts. So please, if you have your hot take and you don't want to come out looking kind of like a clown, then kind of be a little bit more reserved with your hot take. But Connor, I'll start with you. What is your hot take for this season?
All right, I'm out here guns a-blazing. I think Nashville's going to miss the playoff. Just put it on the table right there.
Nashville
I
missing the
think-
playoffs.
Okay.
Nashville. I think they're going to miss the playoffs. I think Tyler Boyd isn't enough to invigorate that attack into being as good as the other Eastern Conference teams, especially with the big signings like Kuipers for Chicago, Muriel for Orlando. A lot of big name attackers coming in the league, and we got Tyler Boyd for Nashville and Hani Mukhtar and vibes. Like that defense. I mean, you're going to be relying on that defense for another season, and teams are going to start realizing, we understand the system now. We're just going to easily break it down. You rely on that same system, that same defense for so long, and you don't do much of your attack. I think things are going to start to fall apart.
All right, Jose, I'll take yours.
Really quick on Connor's point, are we talking about 13 goals, Tyler Boyd?
I don't know, man.
Inaugural season, 13 goals, Tyler Boyd. I'm just clarifying. Honda, back me up here, bro. This is your boy.
I'm sorry, but I saw something completely than what you saw. Like, was he really good for the Galaxy?
That's what I saw.
He was good. He was good. Don't get me wrong. But for a shit Galaxy team, I remember that.
Isn't that better? Like when a striker is good for a bad team, you just imagine he's going to get better in a good team. No,
no.
Look at Chris Mueller vibes.
Look at Sherbilko. Look at Sherbilko.
Oh, stop.
I'm gonna keep referring to the point.
No.
Put in Sherbilko. Sherbilko was Philly Union's top goal scorer. Goal scorer. You're telling me that. You tell me that that's not
when you go backwards in quality, it's different. Okay. Now when you go forwards, right? When you go from a team that can't find you in the field, that you can't link up with, can't get you the service that you need, and then you go into a team that's able
I would say, and since we're on this take, I would say the Fire have better service than Nashville does, and you can include Mukhtar in there. We have better service than Nashville. And we definitely had better service in Philly. I'm gonna keep that a stack. Had everyone been healthy last season,
oh my god,
we would have made the playoffs.
All right, moving on from this. I'm moving on from this. I can't even do this anymore. This man is convinced. He's convinced.
Hey, so Mueller, Jose, what's your hot take?
Yeah, Jose, what's your hot take this season?
Bro, my hot take is that. They're gonna crucify me for this. St. Louis City is about to backpedal so hard this year, so hard, bro. And here's the crazy. I say this could be an L take. I say an L take because they actually are one of the few teams in the offseason I thought leveled up on direct weaknesses they had. Some of the trades they made to shore up the defensive midfield position. They went out to Europe to get an outside back that is in his prime. I can't remember his name. 24-year-old. Has some UCL experience, and directly addresses that hole. But I think sophomore slumps are a real thing. And I feel like St. Louis City probably feels like those fans probably feel like, oh man, if we had drawn anybody besides Sporting Kansas City, we would have gone through. I think the lights were too bright. I think it's a great result for a first season, right? In MLS. But I feel like they're going to take a big step back because of the expectation coming into this season. Everyone's expecting them to be, building off of what they did. I think they're going to let the fans down decently hard.
I'll touch this on.
Rub off of that though.
Go ahead.
Like, number one, I want to point out, I think Berkey's also a bit overhyped. Watching him as a Dortmund fan.
I'm about to say, aren't you a Dortmund guy?
Yeah, and he really didn't perform at Dortmund. And watching him play in that SKC game, I was like, oh, there he goes again. Yeah, classic.
He was, to be fair, he was pretty good all year. So was the defense. I think for the most part, they had some holes that got exploited as the year went on in the outside back position.
I was gonna ask this: like, you guys think that St. Louis is kind of feeling like how Austin felt after their kind of the season that they had, where they were doing well, got into CCL, obviously, all this, but. Do you think that that's kind of what's going to happen to them? Or is that like too far?
That's too far. I mean, bro, they lost to Farmers with pitchforks in CONCACAF Championship.
That's to the color purple. Wild. The color purple. It's a team name.
It's crazy that these guys are basically training part-time and they beat a team that made it all the way to the Western Conference final. Like it's such a bad look for MLS. And it just shows you how overhyped that team was, how much they overperformed in 2022. Because outside of that 1 year, they've kind of been just very, very mid, very average outside of that. So I don't think St. Louis goes that far, right? I think that they actually did level up their roster a little bit. Bro, the only move Austin made last year from the previous season was like bringing in Giassi's out of this, and like fans were excited about that. Isn't that crazy, bro? It's like what? I mean, I
How
get.
do you get excited for Jassi's artist? Oh my god! Like I
I mean,
swear to
bro,
God,
hold
every
on.
time he
I'm
plays for
not gonna
Galaxy, I'm
shit on
sorry.
him like Honda will. Like Honda has no respect for that man. I will say
I have
he
no
has
respect, absolutely no
okay, but he
respect
has a
for him.
century of goals in this league and 2 MLS Cups. You can't drag him too hard. But I will say that like at this age, you don't give him a bag to come to. He's not the missing piece. And Austin has this thing right now where they're just signing 30-plus-year-old strikers to solve their scoring problem. And it's like you guys need a young, hungry forward that will do all the dirty work that your most clinical finishers will not at their age. That's how you're going to level up. So they didn't get that piece. But anyway, it's not about Austin. I think with St. Louis, they're not going to fall down that hard. I still think they'll be like 6th to 9th. You know, like they'll have a little bit of a sophomore slump. But I still expect to see them back in playoffs.
You want to know what my hot take is?
Oh no.
I'm gonna get called a homer for this.
Oh God, bro, here we go.
Oh
Go ahead.
no.
But the Fire are gonna finish top 4 in the East, and I'm gonna say that.
Oh,
And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this why. There's a lot of reasons why. You know, call me a hopeful fan, and I know they've done this to me multiple times, but I'll say this: the way that we're trending, the amount of money we spent this specific off season, while still having a DP slot going into the summer transfer window, only means that we can only get better. We can only get better. And as much as you like to hate on him, Connor, Chris Mueller is going to be one of the missing pieces off the bench that we needed to provide a different sort of spark. Haile Selassie did that for us last year. Now, in my dream reality, Gutierrez, it's Gutierrez, Shaqiri, and then you have Selassie or Mueller, either one of the two on the other side. But
Selassie, not Mueller.
we have enough depth to get us through and push forward. Now, we've addressed some of our defensive mistakes with people constantly getting unnecessary yellow cards and red cards for no reason, which by some people call it passion. I call it pure idiocy. Like you're being idiotic if you're getting in front of the ref's face over a call that is really not that deep. And
shout out Navarro.
Yeah, shout out Navarro, by the way. Good thing he got shipped out. But this is another thing. Again, I feel like everyone thinks that everyone in the East is leveling up, but I also this might be. I'll give you 2 in 1. I don't think New England's gonna be as good as everyone thinks that they're gonna be. I feel like they're also gonna take a step back, which is why I'm pushing them up and towards that top 4 spots. You
The
call
agenda,
me crazy.
The agenda.
Call me crazy.
The agenda, bro.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's wild.
Call me crazy.
I won't call you crazy. There's probably a bunch of other words I could think of, but I mean, outside
Psychotic?
of that, yeah,
Insane?
bro, delusional. I think, bro, like if you guys make top 4, bro, I will hold the biggest L. The biggest L. I'm not even joking. I will gladly hold it on this show. But there's no way. There's no way you jump from bottling playoffs for the umpteenth time. I lost count at this point to just being a top 4 contender in the most difficult conference in Major League Soccer. I just don't see it. I think I thought I was getting a hot take for saying Dallas would be a top 3 team. This one blows it out of the water. John wins the hot take segment, boys.
Listen.
No.
Honda's still gotta go.
I got a very hot take, and you know what?
Here
If
we
you
go.
call John delusional, this one's gonna be absolutely fucking delusional.
All right,
Let me
go ahead.
land. All right, let me land. LA Galaxy will have a better season than Inter Miami.
All right, boys. Hey, it's been real. It's been real, bro. I'll see you guys later, dog. There's no
Let
way.
me land.
No,
Let me land. 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 Here's the thing.
That is crazy.
Inter
That is crazy.
Miami, right? What are they expected to do? They're expected to win the fucking MLS.
I'm out of coffee, bro.
I'm going for ratio wise.
He'll need some more. He needs some
Dude.
more.
Inter Miami, they're expected, and if they don't win the MLS, technically call that a failure. LA Galaxy, they're expected to do nothing. If they make it to the playoffs, boom, it's already a better
They're
overall
gonna
ratio. Than
so they're
But
gonna
that doesn't mean they outperformed Inter Miami. You just exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
rephrase what you said. They're gonna have a better
Phrasing what I said.
season.
they're gonna have better. They're gonna play out better.
They're gonna
expectedly
outperform.
than-
They're gonna
Their
outperform their
expectations.
expectations.
Points.
Yes.
But they won't beat them on the table.
And-
Who
Right.
knows? Who knows? Messi and
Nah,
friends.
nah.
Who knows, though?
Okay.
Who knows, though?
Okay.
Hey,
okay.
wait. Here's the thing. Here's the thing as well too.
Copa
Expect Messi to play
America.
every
you know.
single game. Are you gonna expect Suarez to play every single game?
No.
Are you gonna expect these players? Okay, maybe Busquets and maybe Jordi Alba, but we already seen Inter Miami with just
Them two. They
Jordi
got
Alba.
dunked on by
They
us.
didn't do
by the
shit
way.
for squad.
They
They got
dunked
dunked on by
us.
Chicago Fire, who were already on their way down.
But bro, this is after
They
an
didn't make
offseason.
playoffs.
This is after an offseason. I agree with you, but they came in after playing in Europe and just try to pick it up. I'm not saying they're gonna.
Nicolas Freire, the guy who gets red cards every time for Pumas, and now they brought him in thinking like, oh, he's gonna be somebody better than Kamal Miller. Like, I think that's where they made the mistake as well too. Like, okay, I am delusional saying this. Absolutely. You know what? I still believe in it.
I mean, bro. I respect it. You're a fan, but I'm gonna sit here and tell you right now, you're about to get dunked on the rest of the show as the season moves on. But like, bro, I mean, all I'm gonna say is, anybody in chat, clip that. That's probably the video. That's probably the clip for this one. I'd be really curious to see if they could even. What's the expectation then? Just so we know, if we're saying that they surpass expectations, are the Galaxy not expected to make playoffs?
Not expected to make playoffs. Like we already said it before. And you know what? In one of your guys' videos, you guys said we would absolutely be dead last.
True.
That's all I'm
And,
saying.
True. That's fair.
Which
That's
is why
fair.
what you're saying is fucking wild. But with that said,
Exactly. Hot takes. You want to go hot? I'll take it hot.
That's
right?
not hot. That's
hot.
the sun. That's super
I'll
low.
burn myself
That's holy
doing it.
shit.
That it is hot. It's
That's-
hot shit, but it's hot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, hey, look, if they make playoffs, but they make it to the wild card and they get dunked on the way that Charlotte got dunked on, I don't know if that's like an Inter Miami. I don't know, bow out in the conference semifinals. I don't know if that's like a. I don't know if you win that hot take. We'll have to wait till we get to that point.
You see,
Yeah. Well,
I was
Listen.
more thinking like comparative of each conference table. Like if Miami finished 5th and Galaxy finished like 5th, you know, I was
That's a
thinking
huge dub.
maybe.
That's a huge.
Yeah, I was
dub.
thinking maybe,
There
but
you go.
know,
There you
exactly what I
go.
was
He's the one
pointing
that's
to.
trying to piggyback
That's
off.
exactly what I was pointing to. Because literally,
Nah,
here's the
bro,
thing.
you
Inter Miami.
You walked
Think
into
about
this
it. No, no, no.
segment and you straight up said they're gonna have a better season than Inter Miami.
Well,
You thought mine
will.
was bad. I just said top 4. I'm not. I didn't claim anything like that.
No. You got rinsed too. I mean, that one's a crazy take, but man, bro, this one's like.
I thought it was wild for Nashville take personally. I thought it was wild
Hey,
for
the Nashville take not
I'll make
that
the
bad
loop,
now.
you know
Hey,
what?
hey, Connor,
That national one.
Not that bad.
that's not even that
That
bad
Nashville
anymore.
one.
That's respectable.
That's what I said. Hey, don't stump on Connor's Nashville one because that one's more realistic than all the other ones. I'm pretty sure.
I was gonna say it's a hot take for a reason, but like, dang.
Yeah,
bro.
It was
Respectable.
We'll end it like this. I feel like as we get people's hot takes, I don't think anyone's gonna top that. That's over exaggeration.
That's what I'm
No
here
one's
for.
topping
That's
that.
what I'm here for.
But we're
I'm an Orlando
we're lucky
fan,
we're gonna
and
have those
I think that's
receipts.
crazy.
So from everyone here at Kicking It MLS, this has been a wonderful show. I think for our first show, this has been a banger. Talked a lot about, you know, just updating how the season's gonna go for our teams and how the off season has impacted some of these teams going in. So tonight starts the first game, so we'll kind of see how Miami does, and we'll see if Messi and friends can hold their own, or if some of them are gonna be walking out in stretchers and carts. So we'll see how they end up performing. But you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.